And anytime now, we expect the motorcade of His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta to walk in there. You can see the Deputy President there taking that line up, that queue to wait to receive officially the head of state. As and when is received, you can see the security detail there also prepping and ready for that. Any minute now, that should be happening. The gentleman there on the earpiece, just like mine, receiving and waiting till, yes, we're just about to get there. Sibiu, what are your thoughts? What's happening, at this moment, for security? This obviously is a massive event. A lot of dignitaries are coming through. There's a lot of organization about vehicles, about how to fix things. What happens during these moments?
This is a state funeral, and the military is in charge. The rest that you are seeing there are optics. Every detail for this event is managed by the military. The police will be left to do their job because they have a role. It's been assigned to them. They have their role. Parliamentary staff has its role. But this function is entirely in the hands of the military. So everything you'll see here, and that's why, like I'll tell you, the military is not petty. William Ruto is the deputy president of this country. He has his place, and he will do his role as the deputy president of this country. So everything you are seeing here is fully arranged. There's a program for it. Every step that you are seeing, even as they walk in, maybe they've been told the president is a bit far, that's why they are walking back. But it is precision, it's managed, it is arranged, it is done by the military. Yes. So it's a military function per se, although it's a state function.
State function,
Yeah.
Military function. There's a lot of dignitaries, sort of coming through, and these, all these MPs and senators who also would be making their way and are already there. As you can see, that lineup there, really significant that the president is not too far away to arrive. We do expect the president to make his way in Parliament any minute now to kick off the state funeral of His Excellency former President, the late Honorable Stanley Emilio Mwai Kibaki. The procession from 6 in the morning has happened. The body is in Parliament buildings. We expect sort of this function to start, where the president will officially announce to the country the death of former president, and also the days of mourning, the 6 days of mourning, with 3 days of lying in state, and up to Saturday to his interment. That is the expectation. That should be happening about 10 in the morning. All the leaders are lined up there, expecting His Excellency the President. The public, members of the public, as informed by our reporter Leila Mohammed, will be allowed to make their way as well and pay their respects at some point today, and of course tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. There is strict guidelines on how that would happen. The entire Parliament building obviously has been cordoned off. There is enough security and enough information for anyone who would want to go and pay respect to His Excellency the former President Emilio Mwai Kibaki. There is a lot to chime in, a lot to discuss. Once that happens, we will take you live there in Parliament so that you can follow those proceedings. And studio with me is a very powerful panel of the people who know, and no better panel than this, of Mashere Gaido, who's a veteran journalist, Caleb Atemi, veteran journalist, Josephine Karani, veteran journalist, and Simi Warunga, security expert and analyst, to just give you every detail of what has been happening, what's happening. Just briefly about, as we wait there, maybe in a second or few, the significance of, Major General Hussein Ali being the first, to sort of this difference when Kibaki gets into office and make sure gets a military man to take care of the police. There's a lot of analysis, and we did that, during the reporting. What do you make of that? Did it work or did it not work?
I think at that time, what Kibaki had in mind is that the police service was irredeemable. It needed an outsider from the disciplined services to bring it back in line, so to speak. I know it caused a lot of disquiet within the police, but eventually they could do nothing about it. Whether it worked is something I think which we will have to do a more serious review at some point. I covered Brigadier Ali, as he then was, quite closely, and I was impressed by the kind of things he had in mind and the kind of changes he wanted to make and knew he must make. But then, of course, everything was blighted by the 2007 violence and the fact that he then got caught up in that whole International Criminal Court mess. But you have seen now, President Uhuru, he has gone much, much further than President Kibaki in terms of turning to the military for almost everything that he thinks needs to be fixed, including even areas where the military may not be the ideal institution. And sometimes I get the feeling this guy, you know, all of us had childhood fantasies of wanting to be soldiers. and I think sometimes that has never left him.
Right.
You can see the way he loves putting on his uniform and things like those. And the military in Kenya is respected, a respected institution. It is very effective. It is known for its discipline. But sometimes militarization of everything is not necessarily the right thing, because you have other people who might be able to do a better job.
As Macharia speaks, that for sure, this time, His Excellency.
He has kept time.
The President. His Excellency, the President Uhuru Kenyatta, his motorcade making way there, getting into Parliament building, 2 minutes past 10, on time, to make sure that this event kicks off on time, and everyone was waiting for him. This, in fact, signifies that beginning of the state funeral, where the head of state will get in there and everything, the process and procedures have been written, you know, with all his powers and all his force and all his might, getting in there to get this going as an important state function. And this is one of, you know, the biggest functions you'd like, or one of the largest function as a head of state you would, you would have to undertake. What's going through his mind as he does this, Caleb, you know, 10 seconds before we would be cut off? So
I think he must be chewing through his speech and wondering how he'll emotionally merge the loss of the three fathers. Mm-hmm. Probably as what is eating him up.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Jasmine, what's going through His Excellency's mind as, you know, his...
Like I said, this is a defining moment for him. It's a unique moment for him. His history will be written differently compared to the other leaders that we have had in this country.
Mm-hmm. Samuel?
I don't know what to say, because to me, this is a state function. He has a responsibility to do what he needs to do. He might have his own personal emotions, he might have his own personal thinking, but I think it's a job he has to do, and he will do it, whether it's emotional. To me, I think when you get to that level of a president, I sometimes think they lose a bit of their personal emotions, and they just do things because they're asked to do.
Yeah, he is His Excellency the President, making his way in Parliament, acknowledging the leaders who have stayed there to get him through. Obviously, as expectation, my colleagues wanting to get the best picture for the moment. There's videos, there's a lot to go through, but yes, it has to be done. He has to walk through, he has to acknowledge greetings, and he has to make his way through Parliament. That is His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta having to stand there, so that kicks off the funeral, state funeral of His Excellency former late President Kibaki. Let's listen in.